First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and exaltation to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Barakathu Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. Give double honors to our apostles of Great Millstone, our spiritual teachers. Salutations to our sincere brothers that goes out on the highways and the byways, risking their lives week in and week out. Shalawam to our sincere brothers and sisters supporting this ministry. All praises and glory is due to our highest power. That's why we have to give double honors to our apostles of Great Millstone, right? I went into the archives, all right, and found this video, part 4, Bible student gets crash course of truth. Yeah, but you know, that's why we have to give, like I say again, we have to respect our elders, all right? When I look at videos like this, I feel like a mouse. Huh? I feel like a worm. You see the knowledge our elders have? You have to respect them. And do not forget where you're coming from. Because I'm intrigued with the knowledge that is being given to them through our power, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. That's why I have to give double honors. Yeah? It's not to do with flattery. Because I know the definition of flattery. Okay? You have to admire the knowledge, the wisdom, and the understanding these elders, our elders have. Our spiritual teachers. Right? I don't know how far it goes back, but I'm sure other brothers got other sites that they could go to from way back that when the elders started. All right? But that's why we have to respect our elders, yeah? Respect our elders for the knowledge. If it wasn't for them, we would know fuck all. I'm going to have to say that there. Without them, right? That's why there's an order to this universe. There's an order. From Yahawah to his son, come right down. Okay? And Great Millstone, Elder Tahar, Elder Apostle Tahar, right? Come down is our spiritual teachers, right? So respect that, you know? Respect that.
England, okay, it came from Anglo. He's going by Anglo-Saxon. What does the word Anglo-Saxon mean? It means the Angles. No, the word Anglo-Saxon means. Listen. Promise me. The word. Listen. Angles came from Eastern Europe. Okay, they were, funny enough, brought into England through slavery from the Roman Empire. Where did the word Angle come from? It's another way of the Latin way of saying angel. No, you're thinking about Latin, aren't you? You're thinking about Latin. Yeah, because that's fine. If you're looking at word rooting, okay, you can take it from context, okay? If you look at history and geopolitically, okay, you will find that Angles come from Eastern Europe. England was part of what original empire? The Celtic Empire. They spread all the way through southern France. They were all a part of the Roman Empire. And they broke off. They're all a part of the Roman Empire, right? Well, have fun. Take a walk. Come back. Don't run nowhere. Come on now. I got a scripture too. Be a man. Come on. You gotta enjoy it. You see how the white man runs when the truth comes out? Right. See, now he made a statement and he said that the Egyptians are white. Now, the reason why he said that is because the Egyptians that were down there in that land were not really the real Egyptians. When Ptolemy, should I say when Alexander the Greek took over and conquered the whole known world at the time, he had 4 generals after his death that parted his kingdom.
were white people. They took over what's known as Egypt today. And what they did was they kicked out the original Egyptians and they repopulated that land. That's what the scriptures say, that they removed the landmarks. And they set themselves up in that land as the Egyptians. But the original Egyptians come out of a man named Ham. Now Ham, which we're going to read, Ham is the father or the progenitor of all the so-called Africans, because the land of Africa was renamed after a Roman general by the name of Leo Scipio Africanus. All right? So read this, brother.
Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood.
Right, so this is Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood. Go ahead.
Alright, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood.
Go ahead.
He became the progenitor of the dark race.
Oh, he said he became the what? The progenitor, or the first gene that passed, and the progenitor of the what?
Dark races.
Of the dark races. Go ahead.
Not the Negroes.
Well, not the Negroes here in America, because the Negroes here in America are not black. I'm sorry, are not Egyptians. They're not from Ham.
They're a different nation.
They're a different nation, but they are dark skinned also. Read on.
But the Egyptians.
Stop. You can close the book.
Right there.
He said he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians.
So if he's the father of the dark races, what color was he? If
Exactly.
the Egyptians are dark, what color would their father be? Dark.
And these are so-called white scholars that put this together, the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, because they have done their research. They have. That's what the Bible says, that they are wiser than Daniel. The so-called white man has the knowledge and the technology to go around the world and dig up certain artifacts, certain relics, so they know.
Yeah, they know.
So they put this thing together because they know. But they're too busy going around the world lying to people. Somebody give me Job 9:24. And like the brother said, this is the book called Our Living Bible. He said if we had a picture Bible, right? Our Living Bible. And if you look at these men, what color are these men that you see lined up here?
They're all dark skinned.
They look like from a dark brown to a light brown.
But they're all Hamites. They're not
Right.
Israelites.
What's the color of these guys here?
And then look what it says. It says the sons of Ham,
Right.
Cush, which are the Ethiopians, Egypt, which was Mizraim, Put, which are the North Africans, and Canaan, which are the South Africans, all black.
Now look at the inscription on here with the date on it.
It says Egyptians, Canaanites, Nubians, and Libyans on frescoes in tombs of Seti, which is one of the pharaohs of the Egyptians.
1300 BC.
1300 BC.
This is an actual picture from it.
They left pictures and paintings, but the so-called white men went around the world and they painted over all those images and made them white. And here goes some more pictures. If you want to.
Right. It just says here the Pharaoh. It's showing you one of the pharaohs here himself. It's showing you the Egyptians are so-called black people. And then at the bottom of the page here, it shows you Semites sojourning into Egypt, which this was Israel. This is when we sojourned into Egypt.
Right, and then
it shows you being dark, all of us.
And then you had these so-called white people calling themselves Jews, and if you make a derogatory statement or a negative comment against one of them so-called Jews, they call you anti-Shemite or anti-Semite. Right? Now the man, first of all, the man's name is Shem, not Sem. The word Shem means name or put. The Shemites were descendants of Shem, but you had several. You had Arphaxad, you had Lud, you had Aram, and others. Right? Then you had the Hamites, which are the so-called Africans. Now, you have scholars, you have certain historians that have brought out the fact that the so-called Jews in the land of Jerusalem today, in the land of Israel, are not the real Jews. The Bible also brings that out. But we're just making a point about these so-called scholars or these so-called historians that found out that the so-called Jews that are living in that land today, as well as the majority of them so-called Jews over here in America, descend from the Khazar Empire. Now the Khazars, or the Khazar Empire, they call them a Turco-Finnish people. Now the Ottoman Turks, or the Turks in general, which are so-called white people, come out of a man named Edom, or Esau. Edom or Esau was the progenitor of all so-called white people on the planet Earth. And the so-called white man is not white, he's red. That's why if he laughs too hard, what happens? He turns red. If you smack him upside the head, they turn red. If they get angry, they turn red. They call them rednecks down south. Some people call them red-blooded Americans. But they're not white. They're actually red. And they took the name white upon them to get away from that red name. Because if anybody read the Bible and knows about Esau and Edom, they know that Esau and Edom is synonymous with red people. So they took that name as their banner is and put it upon the so-called North American Indians and called them the red man. But getting back to the Khazars in the 11th, 12th, and 13th century, they were basically descendants of Edom. Now, when you go back during the time of just before the wonder world called Jesus Christ came on the scene, you had a time period of around 168 BC when the Greeks were in power, and they came into the land of Jerusalem and destroyed our temple, burned our books, made our people go off and eat pork. Some of them did it willingly, and some of them chose to die rather than to go off. But you had a man by the name of Hyrcanus, which Hyrcanus was one of the Maccabees, and he was a good friend, as the record stated, with Antipater. Now Antipater is the father of Herod and the whole Herodian clan. He was an Edomite. The Edomites were already in the land of Jerusalem prior to the real Israelites being kicked out in 70 AD, because that whole line of the Herods, they were all Idumeans or Edomites. Now, the Khazars are the same people, the same descendants that come through that line. But what people try to do, they try to get away. That was the Herod in their line. Those are the Edomites. But the Romans that were kicking the real Israelites out of Jerusalem, and the Greeks that had our people in captivity, they are also Edomites. So all so-called white people come out of Edom, out of Esau. But you had different tribes. Just like Jacob had 12 sons, and the 12 sons became the 12 patriarchs of the nation of Israel. The so-called white man had 12 tribes also, 12 sons.
Right.
And they became, they populated the earth as Edomites.
They were called the Dukes of Edom or something.
They're right.
I got the map of the Khazarian Empire. Khazar means a wanderer. All right? And this is basically where they ruled, the empire. All right? And that's what the so-called white man is. The so-called white man that calls himself a Jew, that's what they are. They're Khazars. They're not the real Jews. To be a Jew, you got to come out of the tribe of Judah. All right? And the so-called white man, he doesn't come out of the tribe of Judah. He comes out of Esau. All right? He doesn't come out of Jacob.